Back.
Welcome back to Lust with Must. Anyways, so we took a break, and if you're watching the first episode of this, we were talking about circumcision, and I was confused on how it went from a religious thing with Muslim. Not only did I take a break, but I took a alcoholic break. Anyways, Muslim and Jewish religious cultures, how did it go from that to us? Like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I understand if you're Jewish here in America.
Yeah.
But how did it become just a complete and total thing? Well,
That's
guess
a good
what?
question.
I took a break and I used my Google machine and I decided to find the answers. So,
On the internet.
on the internet. But no, I double checked myself. Like double checked and triple checked and quadruple checked. No, I didn't I maybe double checked.
Yeah, you look like really smart.
Do I look smart?
Yep.
Do I look smart now?
Oh my.
I feel like a dirty school teacher. Anyways, okay, so what I found out was that Dr. Louis Sayer, is that Sayer? Sayer. Dr. Louis Sayer, who was an orthopedic surgeon, actually was the first one that did in 1870. He did the first circumcision, and what happened was this 5-year-old little kid. He came in and he had an infected penis, and then this dude thought that maybe he needed to cut his tendons and do some electrotherapy. But then another nurse was like, oh, I think maybe his penis is just sore. So instead of just giving him some cream, he cut the skin off. Well, either way, that worked.
I mean, 1870.
So instead of just giving him... Did they have antibiotics in
Did
1870?
they even have the Civil War yet?
Did they have antibiotics in 1870?
That's a good
I
question.
mean, maybe cutting the skin off was the only option.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because in the Civil War, they freaking were cutting legs off.
Comment below if they had antibiotics in the 1870s. Either way, he cut the skin off, and of course, it fixed the child's walking because he had an infected penis.
Yeah, he was bent over.
Yeah. So after that, he was like, oh, this is going to work for all these other things. And then when people started realizing that, no, it doesn't really work for that, he came out with this thing called reflex genitalia irritation, which is an actual real thing. But reflex genitalia irritation, he wrote, what is that word? Peripheral irritation of the foreskin would ultimately produce the loss of controlling power. What the F does that mean?
Controlling power.
And then he goes to write, especially for young boys that haven't yet been taught self-control.
I mean,
So then-
what?
I realized...
Does that mean that you can't control busting a little Jimmy or something like
Well,
that?
see, I didn't know. So then I kept Googling on my Google machine.
You
And so then it said reflex genital. So he went along to say, okay, circumcising boys when they're young will prevent reflex genitalia irritation. It is going to prevent that. And reflex genitalia irritation is what causes RGS, restless genitalia syndrome.
I think I got somebody.
Which is when basically your foreskin rubs and you have an erection for no reason. I'm not a doctor, but I just use my Google machine. And honestly, I use my Google machine after 4 drinks. But anyway,
I mean, my family used to call it when a wind would blow by and you get a pinch of 10.
but it literally, he said, preventing a reflex genitalia irritation viewed as a danger to the entire organism, and doctors concluded that it would be healthier, safe, and more civilized if they removed the foreskin, which especially would help boys that needed to learn self-control. Anyways, I'm not sure what that means, but I feel like they just cut off part of your penis to make sure that you didn't have an erection.
That sounds a little fishy to me. Yeah, so, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but at the same time, like, I just don't get it. You know, there's so many countries that don't do it.
I just don't get the fact that a human being was born with extra skin.
I mean, that extra skin obviously was causing boys to have erections.
A normal human being, the normal human form, doesn't have extra skin.
I also Googled that the skin that's removed during a circumcision is like 20,000. I gave you the facts.
Sensitive things?
No, yeah, it was like nerve endings.
Nerve endings.
You cut out 20,000 nerve endings when you cut off the foreskin. So when you think about it, like, ladies, could you imagine having our clitoris cut? And then all of a sudden, because we need to learn self-control, because heaven forbid that shit rub against our jeans and we nut all over ourselves, which is the most amazing thing during the day. Love it. Anyways, but we're literally cutting that part out of your life. All because they think it looks ugly.
It's a travesty.
It's a travesty.
It's a travesty.
But, you know, I don't know. Everyone thinks it looks better.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic. I'm still going back to the human form is not born with extra skin.
So anyways,
there's a reason.
They also did a study that most women prefer a circumcised vagina.
Vagina. A circumcised vagina.
A circumcised cock over an uncircumcised cock. Did you know that?
Well, because they've been told to prefer it.
Says who? Oh, yeah, you're right. Society. They said, oh, this is ugly. You have to do this.
If what, you know, what is that? One thing doesn't look like the other.
Yeah, I don't know why, though. Because honestly, like, an uncircumcised...
It's your natural form.
I mean, an uncircumcised cock looks fine. I mean, I've seen quite a few.
It's your natural form. That's like saying women
but honestly,
have
like,
nipples.
it's fun to have, like, the extra skin to play with.
Yeah,
like when a woman's, I mean, honestly, so if I feel like the only poll that they took for American women had to have been women that only fucked around with white dudes.
Exactly.
Because I date completely out of my race. I completely out of my culture. And let me tell you, I don't care if you have a circumcised cock or not, because it literally, there's a lot of really hot guys from other countries that don't have circumcised penises and
rocking a necklace 24/7 365.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, I mean, I don't know where they got that study from, but either way, I mean, do you really think that circumcision is like something that we should continue doing?
Definitely not. Definitely not. It's
I mean, I don't care either way. Honestly, women and men. I'm sorry for all the men that are circumcised out there, but there is this like really fun trick that you can do to uncircumcised men. And so basically what you do is when you're going down on them, you take the this and you blow. And you know what happens? It blows up like a fucking balloon. No shit. I'm not kidding. So you go like this. So then you're like sitting there and you're like, you know, giving him the best blowjob of his life, and then you take it and then you blow some air into it, and then all of that, like all those nerve endings that everyone else had like cut off. It was
correct.
All those other nerve endings, like we get to play with, like, you know, if you're down there. And also, like, I never had sex with this guy, but when I was in high school, there was a rumor that this one guy had a really, really, really big turtleneck, and that he could put jelly beans up there, and then the girls would come and they would eat them out.
She's like the Easter Bunny.
I don't know. To me, you know, I don't care either way. I feel like sometimes, you know, it just seems like old school.
It's an interesting debate
But did I get my son circumcised? I did.
Yeah,
I did.
It's a societal
So I'm sitting over here,
expectation.
I did. I got my son circumcised because my ex-husband was like, I don't want my kid to be the only one that has a weird cock. And I was like, okay. So, we did it even though I didn't really care. Like I said, my mother chose not to do it for her son because she thought it was barbaric. But she's also like a super hippie and,
In the military, you're definitely weird if you didn't.
Yeah, I know. It sucks.
Yep. You're an oddball out there. But, like, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Like, who cares,
Who
It's
gives a
like,
shit,
but
man?
anyway.
I'm not trying to compare.
I honestly, personally, don't care because literally the only way you would care is if you haven't had sex with a Brazilian guy or a Puerto Rican or anything that's not a Muslim or Jew or American. So, I feel sorry for, how many hot Australians there are that aren't circumcised? Anyways, when it gets big, it looks the same. But do you have any other things that you would like to say on this? Because honestly, I'm to the point where it's like I could go either way. What do you think?
There also was that web page that said something like a curse and a blessing.
Yes.
Blessing and a curse.
Yeah, you're right. So when we were Googling...
psychologically...
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Psychologically, you are right. Because we were Googling and there was a web page and it said that being circumcised or uncircumcised is a blessing and a curse because you have more like sexual confidence in America being circumcised. Because if you go to a chick, that they said most American women prefer
you might think that you're looking
circumcised
weird.
Cocks, so
freakish.
Yeah, like a freak or something. But
although freakish is just natural, that's crazy, right?
Well, in other countries, it's not freakish.
Not exactly, but it's still psychological.
So they were saying,
Crazy.
well, in our country, it was like, one of the things that could happen was you psychologically don't feel as confident, and then you're like, okay, well, I can't get a hard on because I don't feel confident.
Right?
Right?
Although, if you could, you'd probably be done in a couple seconds because you got like all the maximum, what's it called? What are those things called?
I have no idea. Anyways, basically,
your
then they said-
sensors, your dick
so
sensors.
basically what they were
It's your dick sensors.
basically what they were saying was that
Your cock
you're going to
sensors.
cut off 20,000 nerve endings, right?
There it is. See?
But you're going to have the confidence to show your cock around American women. Well, hey, baby, I don't give a shit if you have a turtleneck or, a cow neck or a t-shirt. I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, it's about how you use it. But I promise you that I do feel that some circumcised men they did lose some sensitivity. Who knows? Maybe that's what's causing all the erectile dysfunction. I have no idea.
Oh, man.
Who knows? I don't know if there's been a study about that or not, but I'm sure there is something that causes when you cut off 20,000 nerves, right?
Loss of sensation.
Yeah, right? So it's got to do something. Do you think it causes babies PTSD? I understand they can't, remember the feeling, but I could only, every time we start talking about this, the only thing that I can think of is, having my clitoris cut.
Yeah.
And if I had my clitoris cut, I don't care if it's big, small, whatever, it would totally take away sensitivity.
But, what if you were, even if you were a little baby girl, and they did that to you, right?
Well, I wouldn't know, but I'd be mad that I didn't have a choice.
But at some point in your life, you might know that you aren't as sensitive as that you could be.
Just the thought of someone cutting off my clitoris without my permission is
makes
me upset.
Johnson. The tip of your Johnson, and little buddy boy was
What if
just
they
sitting
took off
there.
too much skin?
That's what I'm
Then what
saying.
happens?
Little dude's just sitting there all smiling, all motherfucking like, hi, mommy, hey. And then all of a sudden, a razor blade cuts his dick off? Come on, man.
They say they do use like an anesthetic cream.
I don't give a shit about a cream. You cut the dick.
Either way,
The
it
dick
seems.
is the dick.
Either way, I don't know. I mean, like I said, Americans are going to continue to use circumcision as a way to say, like, oh, it's more like sanitary or whatever. But we literally just did the history, and it said that it actually wasn't more sanitary, that it actually was to prevent little boys from being able to, they prevent them from being able to control their.
Getting their willies too like excited all the time.
Yeah. It was actually supposed to cut sensitivity so young boys did not have erections all the time. So, I mean, I don't know what to take of that. It's definitely some new news to me.
It's almost as if they want to stunt the same thing they want to keep spurring. It's interesting because you have because you have a $5,000 baby award right now.
Oh, yeah.
But they stunt it at the beginning. They make the dude not so potent.
Potent with what?
His own pecker
You know,
potency.
I don't think it has. I don't. You know, I didn't read anything that it had to do with any sort of like
I'm not
sperm
talking
count.
About sperm count.
Oh, being able to get it hard.
To bust nuts, to be
That
sensitive.
sucks. I feel bad for you guys. If I had like a big chunk of my like clitoris cut off, because that's what I rub. That's what I rub when I masturbate. Like I'll just sit there in the bed and I'll like just rub.
Part.
Yeah, could I couldn't even. What if they cut off a lot of it and then there was like very little sensitivity? How do you know what you had before? Fuck. Anyways, this is so heavy.
It's heavy duty.
So heavy. Anyways, too heavy.
Too heavy.
But I did use my Google machine, which sometimes comes in handy. So thank you for tuning in to Lust with Muzz and hanging out with me and my best friend Shannon. And just so you know, I don't care if you have a t-shirt or a turtleneck. I love it all.